this one.
Today is another one of those split-screen days in American history, one of those days that you will tell your kids and your grandkids what you were doing when this unspooled. I mean, we've got this crucial primary unfolding in real time right before our very eyes, while simultaneously a rule of law crisis, what some people are calling a rule of law emergency, is unfolding in the incumbent administration. All four veteran prosecutors who had been handling the Roger Stone case today resigning one after the other in a story that has unspooled dramatically over the course of the day. The resignations coming, of course, after the Justice Department at the highest levels intervened to overturn the prosecutor's recommendation for a serious 7 to 9 year-long prison term for the president's longtime friend, Roger Stone, following public tweets by the president in which that recommended sentence was criticized in harsh tones by the president last night. The Stone case is being handled out of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C. 1 week ago, Attorney General Bill Barr installed his close longtime aide as the U.S. attorney in that office, replacing the former U.S. attorney whose name was Jesse Liu. Amid uncertainty about Liu's role in this current scandal and a lot of uncertainty about her ouster at the Justice Department, tonight Axios was first to report that Liu's nomination to another Trump administration job has tonight suddenly been yanked. Now, in order to get confirmed in that job, Jesse Liu was scheduled for a confirmation hearing in the United States Senate the day after tomorrow. With all of this scandal coming out of the office that she appears to have just been ousted from, the prospect of her testifying in an open hearing in the Senate in 2 days may have been too much for the White House to not try to stop. It is hard to see how all of these dots, the president's friendship with Roger Stone, his criticism of the recommended sentence for Stone, the newly minted U.S. attorney hand-chosen by Attorney General Barr, now this radical move in the Stone case, the cascading resignations of career prosecutors apparently in protest of that move. It's hard to not see it as connected. The former chief of counterintelligence at the Justice Department, David Laufman, is one of the people who has been sounding the alarm in the loudest possible terms about this crisis today. David Laufman saying online today, quote, "We are now truly at a break glass in case of fire moment for the Justice Department."
Nicole Wallace, we're under a half minute.
When she puts it like that,
Sorry.
Listen, no, look, that's exactly right. It's the right way to put it. I spoke to two former Justice Department officials, both of whom served in the time of Trump before I came on the air, who described it not in dissimilar terms. And these are not people prone to panic or hysteria. They're the kind of people who appreciate individuals like these four career prosecutors who stayed to protect the department. And I think there are two parts of this story where it gets a lot more dire, even from this moment. One, if you rewind the tape, why did Jesse Liu leave? So here are the cases that are in that office. And I think most people understand because we've sort of all gone to law school, but there are a lot of sensitive cases there. The Flynn case is there. Andy McCabe's prosecution was there. And, you know,
Roger
the
Stone case
was
right?
there.
Yeah.
So it makes a whole lot of sense. You talked about connecting the dots. They're direct lines at this point.
But the other breaking news story that has happened just in the past few minutes is news broken by NBC News, where the headline is this: Barr, meaning Attorney General William Barr, takes control of legal matters of interest to Trump, including Stone sentencing. This has just been published at NBCnews.com by Carol Lee Kendallanian and Peter Alexander. And the bottom line of this new reporting from NBC News is that, as suspected and feared by many people commenting on and observing today's developments, as four prosecutors quit rather than apparently accede to the government's decision to backtrack on its sentencing recommendation for the president's friend, Roger Stone, as these four prosecutors, Michael Morando, Adam Jed, Aaron Zelinsky, and Jonathan Kravis, all quit today. NBC News reports that, in fact, as feared, those resignations come after Attorney General William Barr and other senior Justice Department officials intervened to try to make Roger Stone's sentence more lenient. NBC further reporting that Attorney General William Barr and other senior Justice Department officials have also intervened in the case of Michael Flynn. Now, the backstory here is that we have seen some strange and sort of unexplained doings in the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. over the past couple of weeks. The D.C. U.S. Attorney was a woman named Jessie Liu. We learned somewhat suddenly a couple of weeks ago that Liu was being replaced. Now, she was being put forth for another job within the Trump administration, a Treasury Department job, but she was being replaced in her office somewhat suddenly and somewhat out of the chain of command by a new acting U.S. attorney who was coming directly from Attorney General William Barr's office. Well, since that has happened, all around that time, we have seen prosecutors working on the Michael Flynn case reverse an earlier recommendation that he should get prison time. Just in the past 24 hours, we have seen prosecutors recommend that Roger Stone get prison time. The president publicly criticized that, and then the Justice Department, in what is believed to be an unprecedented act, the Justice Department withdrawing that recommendation to the judge and these prosecutors quitting in response. It should also be noted that this U.S. Attorney's Office is the one that's been handling the case of former Deputy Director and former Acting Director of the FBI, Andrew McCabe. When the president fired James Comey as FBI Director, Andrew McCabe stepped up and became the Acting Director of the FBI. He made a number of key decisions around the counterintelligence and criminal investigation of the president and his campaign, and the president has been gunning for him ever since. NBC has been reporting that the president has been calling for Andrew McCabe to be imprisoned. That case is still before this same U.S. Attorney's Office that has seen all of this turmoil.
Nicole Wallace.
So in my hour today at 4 o'clock, Donald Trump was speaking, and we didn't take it because he was saying the sorts of nonsense that he says all the time about the Justice Department. But I read the transcript, and there's something worth sort of reminding ourselves, because with Trump there are always patterns, and the answers are always said out loud. They're never hidden. He's not smart enough to be sneaky about these things. He smeared the Mueller campaign anew.
Yep.
And if you look at all of this effort, it is to not just smear the Mueller campaign, it's to erase it. It's to forget it ever existed. Because what did the Mueller prosecutors do? They investigated crimes. And I think Lisa Page actually broke some news in that interview with you. When you asked about the counterintelligence investigation, she said that really wasn't pursued so much by Mueller. What Mueller did was look at crimes, and where there were crimes, he investigated them and sought to prosecute them. They are seeking, Donald Trump and William Barr, to erase all of the crimes that were prosecuted by Mueller's team, and there is no other way to say it. They are seeking to erase a chapter that Donald Trump was always embarrassed by, always felt exposed by, and that happened to reveal many of the people around him as felons.
Now, with the NBC News reporting, and the Washington Post shortly thereafter has confirmed and published similar reporting, with this confirmation that, in fact, Attorney General William Barr is intervening in these individual prosecutions of these people close to the president, as the president is talking about these things publicly and contesting these prosecutions. I mean, there's no subtlety here. This is all laid bare.